Good morning. We are going live in just a few moments with Diane, the founder of the Yoga House located in beautiful sunny Florida. So excited to chat with her today. And it's so interesting how we have so many partners. We have partners all across the country. And Florida is one of the second most popular locations for our studio partners. I see you're here now, Diane. Gonna send you an invitation to join us. And let's get started. All right. Diane from the Yoga House in Florida will be joining us. Did,
Hey,
did it work? Oh my goodness.
we're off to a good start.
How are you? Good morning.
Good morning. I'm good. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Morning.
Thank you for joining us. I was just saying how we're based in New York City. I'm born and raised in New York City. So a lot of our studio partners are here in New York, but Florida is the second most popular location for our partners, which makes sense. You know, in New York and Florida, we have that relationship as well. So I was just saying it's so interesting to me how Florida is such a popular location for studio partners. So thank you for joining us, and thank you
Yeah.
for becoming one of our newest studio partners for our next issue, which is launching, it feels like in 2 minutes, but it's in June.
Okay.
And we will be sending you print copies of the magazine when it's here. And it's only because of partners like you that we can do the work that we do. So thank you. I want to just start by saying thank you for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
It is very interesting. I mean, that's that Florida is this, most popular person, or state for the partners. That's weird.
who knows,
It,
right? I mean, who
I
knows?
we love New York, so that's good.
Do you mind introducing yourself before we start?
Yeah. My name is Diane Vittoria. I'm an owner of the Yoga House in Brandon, Florida, which is just right outside of Tampa. And I was born and raised in Tampa, so my roots go pretty deep here in the Tampa area. And I've been practicing yoga. I was first introduced to it about 14, 15 years ago. And then just, changed my life, fell in love step by step, got certified, then decided I wanted to have a studio of my own. And we've been open for this year, will be 7 years that we've been open, and we're off to a great start. And it's been great. And so I
Wow.
love to be part of the yoga community. I love to offer yoga to the community here locally, and it's just great. So when I see, Yoga Love magazine and other places that I know that are just, small companies just trying to do good and try to unite people and bring people together. And it's a pleasure to be part of things like that. So,
Thank you. Yeah,
yeah.
thank you so much. And you mentioned it's been 15 years. Do you remember that first yoga class that you took? What was
Oh,
it, love at first class? Or I know some people when they take their first yoga class, maybe it's not, and sometimes it is. So I'm always
right.
curious what people's first experience might have been.
Well, if it wasn't my first yoga class, it doesn't matter because I do remember doing it for the first time. And the way that I got started with yoga is I was a runner. So actually, my first marathon was in New York City. There you go. So I got introduced with yoga actually by Runner's World magazine, doing a big feature article on how good yoga was for runners. So I figured I could run 26 miles. Of course, I could do a yoga class, and I could not do it. My hamstrings were hard as a rock. I'm like, what are they doing? Very discouraging. My body would not move in these positions. My muscles would not give. My spine would not twist. And yeah, it was awful. Here I thought I felt good. I was this, wonderful athlete that could run long distances, and I could not downward dog to save my life. So, but it was just, it's a practice, and that's what I
Yeah.
tell everybody. It's a practice, and so I just, started with the gentle classes and the
Mm.
restorative classes, and I think my love for yoga grew with the feeling that I got from practicing yoga, and not the physical. The physical,
Mm.
just when my body finally started contorting and doing certain stretches, it was a milestone for me, and it was just part of the practice. It just felt good, and it wasn't some kind of goal to, stand on my hands or anything like that. It was just a progression, and I fell in love with the way that it made me feel. So,
And I think that's a good thing to mention also. Sometimes it's not your first class. You might not fall in love
right,
with it, and sometimes it is a matter of maybe trying a different class. So, restorative, it sounds like, was a better fit for you at that time, as maybe a
right,
way to sort of ease into it, which is, you were a runner, so you had the athletic ability, you had the strength to do things, but, it sounds like a different class and different format worked better for you at the time. So I love that you mentioned that, because I think it's so important for people. Sometimes they try a class and they say, yoga's not for me. And
right.
you go, well, maybe try a different class or a different teacher. There's always so many possibilities and so many variations you can try. And that complements so many things. I know a lot of people that started with running and also continue to run. Do you still run today, or?
No, no, not really. I pretty much stopped running about 3 years ago. I miss it though. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I do miss it. So I know it'll come back into my future. It's just not the right time in my life right now.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't think I'll do anything crazy like marathons anymore. But
Yeah.
um, but just getting on the pavement, it is, and that is exactly what you said. It was just finding that balance.
Mm-hmm.
When I finished running at the time, I remember just feeling so, on such a high and so much adrenaline pumping and ready to conquer the world and just ready to go, go, go. But when I finished a yoga class, then I felt just, and it was just that balance, I think,
Yeah.
that I fell in love with. And that's, it at the yoga house, we offer so many different types of yoga because I want to offer that to everybody. And it doesn't always have to be the hot power yoga. It all goes hand in hand. And some days, like you said, maybe you feel great and you need to sweat a little bit and you want to bang it out. But other days you just want to move your body and you just want to breathe and you just want to settle for a second. And
Yeah.
that's why, yeah, that's why I love all aspects of yoga. I mean, it's all good. That's what I tell my students all the time. It's all
Yeah.
good.
How has your personal practice changed over the 15 years? I mean, now that you're no longer doing the running part of your sort of physical workout part,
Yeah.
how has your personal yoga practice changed?
Well, at the beginning, when I first opened the studio, my personal practice probably did suffer a bit because I was so involved with just getting the business off the ground and teaching as much as I could and things like that. But now I have finally found a balance where, you know, even though it's the space that I work so hard to develop, like I just love practicing there myself. And I love all the instructors that we have at the studio. I try to go to a class at least once a week outside of the classes that I teach, and just so nice to be led. And you know what? I think our students really appreciate seeing the instructors come and practice too.
Mm.
And when I see another instructor coming to the same class, I'm coming to. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like such a joy. It's such a treat that I get to practice and just be led and by one of the instructors. So I think my personal practice has changed the most of just having seeing where yoga affects me off of the mat
Mm.
rather than the physical actual practice of doing it or being led or teaching my life and the way that I handle certain situations and things that come up on life. Like I am a different person, 100%. So,
And thank goodness, right?
yeah, goodness. Actually, my husband just last night told me we were looking at old pictures, and I go, "Oh my gosh, look how much I changed." He goes, "That's okay. That's okay. I like the person you are now." Yeah, I like this person better too.
Yeah. And I love that I read online that you were saying when you first started when you had first built the house, your husband was instrumental in the support and everything. And how that's such an amazing thing when you're starting a new business and you're going on these new adventures, to have the support of your community and of your family to sort of help guide you. And it's been 7 years you've been open. That's quite
Mm-hmm.
a journey. I mean, you've
Mm-hmm.
gone pre-COVID, COVID, and you've come out. I mean, thank goodness, when all those studios were closing down, my heart was, it was just breaking. And when people have survived that, it makes me so happy to see that.
Right.
What have you noticed? Has there been a change in and who's attending the classes, or what kind of classes they're taking now that we're a few years out of the shutdown and the lockdowns?
Yeah, COVID was interesting. I mean, luckily, I have an amazing team of instructors, and we all kind of pulled together when we had to shut down the studio and said, okay, like, what are we going to do? And quickly we came up with a schedule, and we offered at least one virtual class every day via social media. We actually still have all those classes recorded on a YouTube channel. And some of the students that move away, I'm like, well, we have over 100 classes that we recorded during COVID. But it's so funny because it's 2020 and we're like, okay, like, we really miss you guys. So we're on lockdown,
Yeah.
but still, I mean, yoga's yoga. It's still a good class, once the practice begins. But I think it's like with any kind of business, you just see the fluctuation in students. I mean, I have, we definitely have people that have been at the yoga house from day one, and they are just so dear to my heart. We've had people come in 5 years ago, and I've just watched how their practice has grown. Every once in a while, I'll have somebody come up to us and just tell us what an essential part in a healing process that they were going through at the time. And that's just, that's what keeps us rolling out the mat and doing what we do. And we're affecting people, and we're just doing what we love. And, but, and then you have people that come, just like you said, they come and take a yoga class, and they'll say the yoga's not for me. And, we always try to reach out to our students after they've taken their first yoga class, and always let people know that we're available. We're very approachable at the yoga house. We're very, and we have all those different types of classes. So, and people will ask me, I love when people ask me, I have a hurt knee or something, what can I take? And so, of course, we have classes that I can direct them to that they can still do, that they're not going to put themselves at as much risk of injury. So, so it fluctuates, attendance fluctuates, and it is what it is. There's sometimes I think there's no rhyme or reason. There's no, try not to put in the effort. Don't think too much into it, because people have lives, so, right.
And I love that you mentioned that, people that have been there over time and you can see their progress. What is the area that you're in, Brandon? What is that like? Is it a big tourist community, or is it a lot of local people? I read online that you're near a hospital as well. So do you have a lot of the staff? Do they come visit and maybe get a little bit of, no, really? Oh, I'm surprised.
So hard. I have been trained in hospital at least on 3 different occasions to give some kind of free sessions. I even developed a special package for the healthcare workers over there at one time. That didn't take. We have very few healthcare workers. They're just overworked. They're so busy. It's really a battle trying to tap into the medical field, and when I drive to the studio and I see them crossing the street, I want to roll down the window and go, hey, come after work to yoga, but I think they're just spent. I mean, they really are. But as far as Brandon goes, Brandon has come a long way. Like I said, I was born and raised in Tampa. Tampa is awesome. It's really come a long way in the past 30 years. I mean, it has grown so much. And so Brandon, when I was growing up, was kind of like the sticks. Like when I was in high school and we would play Brandon High, we're like, where are we going? There's cows and horses everywhere. Like, what is, but Brandon has grown so much in the past 30 years as well. So it's almost just like a little appendage of Tampa that just kind of sticks out. So, you know, it's not as busy. It doesn't have a lot what Tampa has to offer, but we are 20 minutes away. So it's a lot of families, a lot of community, things like that, small businesses.
And it's really beautiful from your photos of your studio with the beautiful hardwood floors, and you overlook a lake as well. So it's a beautiful location that you're in as well. And I love coming from New York City. We have a lot of very beautiful studios that are beautiful on the inside, right? But you get outside and you're in New York City, which isn't quite so picturesque all the time. But you have such a beautiful location and it overlooks, you know, the lake. I always see these photos and I'm like, oh my God, it looks so beautiful. And
we feel so fortunate. We do. Like it took us a while to look for a space to open the studio. And when I saw you know, the space that we have for the studio used to be a medical office, and it was old medical office. Like I think it was built in the early 90s, so they still had intercom system. They still had a switchboard. That's it was like. So when my realtor took me there, I was looking around and it had, you know, stain dropped in ceilings and everything. And I was like, oh, I don't know. She's like, Diane, just have an open. And as soon as I saw that view, that land with the lake, you know, it's a retention pond really with the fountains, but we have ducks and all kinds of wildlife. So we like to call it the lake. But, and, you know, I'm like, well, so this is what I would be looking at. And it's all this land here, all this grass, community property. Can we do yoga out there? She goes, yes. So anyways, a long story short, we put in an offer. We got it. It took us about 3 months almost to turn it in from a 1990 medical office into a 2000 yoga studio. But it is. I mean, so many people tell me when they walk into the studio and they said, just, you know, to be able to look outside and see dragonflies and butterflies and ducks and sand cranes. I mean, some people come from New York and we have big sandhill cranes, like these huge birds that are about 3.5, 4 feet tall. And so, what is that? You know, they're like, what is, like it's a pterodactyl or something? And I'm like, oh, just don't feed them. Like, okay. And, but, you know, in the springtime, they all have their babies and it's it just brings like such a different vibe to the studio. And I think, you know, all of us and all of the instructors, we're all nature lovers. We all love animals. So, you know, we're out there feeding the ducks and have bird feeders. And I used to, you know, throw corn out there for the squirrels. I mean, so it's like, yeah, we really like it. We really understand how lucky we are to have that.
It sounds like a Disney movie, right? Like you're out there and the animals are coming and everyone's practicing yoga.
I know. That's what I say. Sometimes I practice and I'll open and I'll see all the birds. And I'm like, I feel like Snow White.
Can you share a little bit about how you came up with the name? I'm sure that it can probably be a long, I mean, maybe it's not. Maybe you were just like, this is the name. But I always wonder how people decide what to name their businesses and their studio spaces. How did you come up with the name, The Yoga House?
Well, I think that I was initially looking for a house. And the reason I came up with that name is I wanted something simple. I didn't want a name that you had to be some type of yogi or have some kind of background to know what that was. I wanted it to be very relatable and I wanted it to be welcoming. Like I wanted people, and I kind of feel like that personally when people come to my home that I live in. I always want to have a place where people just walk in and they feel comfortable and they can just throw off their shoes and curl on the couch and cross their legs. And, you know, so I think I came up with the yoga house because I just wanted a welcoming feeling. Like you're coming to our yoga home. This is our yoga, you know? So when I was going through the process of getting the business loan and purchasing the space and renovating everything, I had a lot of people that, you know, well, why don't you name it this? And why don't you name it? And I was just like, I just didn't feel right to me. I just wanted something where people felt like it just wasn't like some kind of fancy thing that I wanted them to feel like they could walk in the door, kick off their shoes, roll out their mat, and just be at home.
Yeah.
So that's
I love that.
Yeah.
And I love that too, because I think a lot of, especially as a small business owner, our businesses, they're an extension of us, right? It's like a little piece of you out there in the world, and you want people to feel welcome and to enjoy it and to feel comfortable. I feel that way with the print magazine too. Like when people hold it and I'm so happy. And if they fold it, I'm like, don't fold it. Like all of a sudden I can it's like this little piece of you that's out in the world. And that's kind of how our small businesses are. It's like you put so much time and energy.
Yeah.
It is like a home. It's like an extension of your home, essentially.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's the name.
Yeah.
What's coming up that you're excited about? Are there any? I saw you have some retreats coming up. Are those happening? Some classes?
Yeah. We offer, I'm also, I got my sound healing training a few years back, and I have a couple instructors that have also followed my lead, and I have a lot of sound bowls. And so we offer, we try to do sound meditation once a month. I do have, we're going to Morocco in April. So we so if you want to hop on board, I can send you the link.
Yes.
So we're going to Morocco in April. I've been working with a wonderful company that was introduced to me by one of my instructors. They're called Soul Seed Retreats, and they just have a handful of retreats that they offer, but it's a husband and wife team. And again, it's that small business feel. It's that personal attention that you get with yoga retreats. So we went to Costa Brava, Spain last April, and that was it was beautiful. It was a great experience, and so I'm doing Morocco with them next month. So I hope to do more with them in the future as well. So yeah, it's a little extra and it's fun.
And I would say for anyone, I went to Morocco for my 50th birthday was in October, and it was amazing. I went with 9 of my friends, and we went to Morocco. So if anyone is on the fence, I would say do it, go, because Marrakesh. Are you going anywhere else? Is it just Marrakesh for the retreat?
No, we're flying in and out of Marrakesh, but we're going to Essaouira.
Oh yeah,
the bulk of the retreat is located.
Have you been there before?
No.
It's beautiful, and I found out a bit of trivia which I didn't know is they filmed Game of Thrones in Essaouira.
I know. So yes, so that's where the bulk of the retreat is. So yeah, so we're really excited to have 17 people on board, and
that's a huge retreat.
Yeah, so it's we're looking forward to it. So
Amazing. Thank you, Diane. Thank you so much for chatting with us today. It's been so great to get to know you and for having you as part of our community now. And if anyone is near, how far is Brandon from Tampa? Would they fly into Tampa if they're flying in, or how would they get to?
Yeah, they would have to fly into Tampa. And I would say, well, now with traffic in Tampa, since a lot of people have relocated here from after COVID, it would probably take you a good 45 minutes to an hour to get to the studio from the airport. But in like downtown Tampa, you could probably get to the studio in about 20 or 25.
Oh, so, perfect.
Yeah, not at all. I have friends that come from the downtown area to the studio, and they're like, as long as I give myself 30 minutes, I can make it, in plenty of time to roll out my mat. So, yeah. Not bad.
I love it. Thank you so much, Diane, for joining us and for being part of our community. Have a wonderful retreat. I can't believe you have 17 people. That's going to be such an amazing event. And if anyone is thinking about it and is even just a Game of Thrones fan, just go.
Yes, exactly.
Have a great time. Is there anything else you'd like to say before we wrap up?
No, I just want to thank you for, just for doing what you're doing and making it so easy to become a partner of Yoga Love magazine, and, reaching out to me right away afterwards and setting up this interview. And I just think you're doing great things too. So
thank you so much.
About coming together and uniting And so I just appreciate little, like you said, it's a piece of you, it's a piece of me. We're coming together, and perhaps our paths will cross someday.
I do hope so, because I want to see your beautiful cranes and ostriches and butterflies and all your beautiful nature in your location. Thank you
Well,
so much, Diane.
we'll order sunshine and not rain in Florida.
All right, have a great one. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.